Northwestern Chronicles, Episode 43, Twin Pandemonium. On the island of Sodor, there are two Scottish twins. They are steam engines, Donald and Douglas, and they work on Sir Tobenhat's Northwestern Railway. After a long day of work, the two were resting at Tim's sheds. "It's good to have you back on Sodor," remarked Edward. "The railway just wasn't the same without you two." "Well, we're certainly glad to be back." "Quite," concurred Douglas. "As much as we love Scotland, there's just no place like Sodor." Daisy joined in on the conversation. "I think I speak for all of us when I say we appreciate your arrival in more ways than one." "Oh? What do you mean?" "Well, now that you two are back on Sodor, you can whip those other twins into shape," replied Murdoch. "Bill and Ben? They're harmless, one would think, but I think your absence has emboldened them to get more risky. Every day Mavis tells us about a new scheme they've cooked up, or an accident at the quarry." "It's starting to get out of hand," agreed Edward. Well, don't worry," said Donald. "If we get an opportunity, we'll let them know who's really in charge." Sure enough, an opportunity would present itself. As the twins were waiting in Knapford Station, the Fat Controller approached them. "Since you two have worked extremely well these past weeks, I've decided to team you up with two other engines to help around the yard." Bill and Ben, the tank engine twins, quickly stopped at the adjacent platforms. "Donald and Douglas, I want you to work with Bill and Ben. I know you've all worked with each other in the past, and I need some engines at the yard. Understand?" All four engines responded in unison. "Yes, sir." "Perfect. Now hurry along now. We have work to do." All four engines quickly rushed out of Knapford Station, eager to start their work. But once at the yard, the twins got back in their old tricks as usual. Donald and Douglas agreed to take care of pulling the trains, while Bill and Ben decided to shunt them. "Where's the brake van?" asked Bill. "We don't need a brake van. We'll let Donald take care of that later." "You can't have a train without a brake van." "I want a brake van," protested Bill. "Well, sorry, but you're not getting one." Meanwhile, the crane operator was trying to add a cargo package into one of the cars. But as their argument continued, the two began to shunt the cars violently back and forth. The crate fell on and off the moving train, shattering all the goods inside. "Could you two please stop this nonsense?" cried Donald. "Stop fooling around and get those cars onto the main line." "But we need a caboose." "No, you don't," replied Douglas. "We can worry about that." "Aha! See? I was right." "So?" "This bickering won't get us anywhere, you two. Come on, we have work to do." When Henry arrived to pick up his train, it was one car short due to the accident. Presently, the Scottish twins were stopped at the brown turntable for a water break. "I just can't believe those two," said Donald. "Yeah, they've really gotten worse, but they'll learn their place in good time. Well, I'm off to the quarry. See you, Dougie." At the same time, Bill and Ben were hauling some trucks down the line. When they took a wrong turn, an argument ensued. "You idiot! You took a wrong turn again." "It's not my fault. The points were set. Besides, we can just backtrack." "No time for that. Let's just go backwards. It'll save time." And so the two began to push the train backwards. Meanwhile, up ahead, Donald had just gone over the turntable. But Bill and Ben didn't see him, and pushed the trucks into Donald, causing a huge crash, which made a loud noise. "Look what you've done!" cried Douglas. "Sorry," said Ben. "We didn't mean it, really," said Bill. "Oh yeah? Well, I can tell you that I mean this." Douglas proceeded to ram into the twins, who remained on the track. It was a complete mess. Luckily, Rocky was there to clean up the mess, but the train had been ruined. When the Fat Controller arrived, he was furious. "I'm very disappointed," he began. "Bill and Ben, why were you messing around with those trucks? And Donald and Douglas, I expected you both to be more mature when handling these two." When the engines apologized, they were met with little sympathy. "Since you four are not up to the task of helping in the yard, I'll have you work in the quarry instead. Mavis is currently undergoing maintenance, and they could use some help over there. Just don't disappoint me this time." As Sir Topham Hatt walked away and returned to his car, the engines reflected. The 4 engines arrived at the construction site the next day. Although there were plenty of workmen, there were no other engines in sight. The 4 sat in silence until the manager, accompanied by a smartly dressed woman, approached them. "All right, everyone. I've heard about your little accidents, and I want to let you know we don't have time for that here. The workmen have already begun drilling, and we need to get the materials to different places fast." The 4 were silent until Douglas spoke up. Who are you, ma'am?" Mr. Brantman, the quarry manager, replied. "This is Alice Frida, a member of the railway board. Sir Topham Hatt asked her to be here to keep an eye on you two, or rather, you 4. And for our mutual interests, I think you should do what I say." Throughout the day, the quarry ran like clockwork, and there were no major incidents or accidents. Donald and Douglas rushed trains out of the construction site, while Bill and Ben didn't utter a word. After the rocks were mined, they were loaded onto some trucks. Bill and Ben then brought the trucks to Donald, who took them and shunted them away for Douglas's train. Donald helped prepare a train for Douglas, who then left the construction site. "Well, at least things are running on time," remarked Donald. "Sure," said Douglas. "I just wish we were the ones who got Bill and Ben to do things rather than someone else." The 2 laughed, and work soon continued. Everything had been fine until something happened. The construction workers were hard at work, as the road vehicles put in their work as well. During the excavation, a splinter in the rock formation for Boulder Mountain was formed and cracked throughout the foundation. As the mountain became unsettled, Boulder slowly started to move. "Everyone, clear the area! Boulder is loose!" With that, all the workers, road vehicles, and engines ran away from the site as fast as they could. But Ben couldn't move. His driver and fireman were on break. The entire quarry was shaking as rubble fell from above. "Hurry up, Ben!" cried Douglas. "We don't have any time." "I can't move," he replied. "My driver and fireman aren't here." Up on the mountain, Boulder began to increase speed as he fell down. "Oh!" cried Douglas. Douglas rushed towards Ben, pushing both of them off of the track. Seconds later, Boulder crashed on the track below. He rolled right in between the 2 engines before crashing in a field. "Oh, I'm sorry, Douglas," sighed Ben. "No worries," he replied. "It wasn't your fault." Soon Sir Topham Hatt came to inspect the damage. "Well, all things considered, the 4 of you have all proven your worth once again, and have shown that even when there's no incentive to get along, we can get stuff done. Now, Peter and Alice, thank you very much for putting these engines back in their place." "Thank you, sir," replied Miss Frida. "But it's really Douglas you should thank today, sir. He went out of his way to save Ben from Boulder." "Oh, well, in that case, I am very proud of the heroic actions of Douglas today, as I am with the hard work demonstrated by everyone here. Speaking of that boulder, maybe I should start thinking about putting that thing somewhere else. Well, in the meantime, everyone here has earned a good night's rest, so well done. I guess today we showed them that it's easier to do things together rather than apart." "You know what?" replied Bill. "I couldn't agree with you more."